All right, candle range theory trader, back with you with another video, just talking about the best risk to reward to use with candle range theory. So let's get into it. Now, why I'm changing direction with risk management, because I've done a lot of videos on this. I used to teach 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 1 to 9, which is possible. It is. That's the thing. It is. However, you're not going to get 1 to 9 every single day. You're just not. Okay. It's not consistent enough. It really isn't. Now, if that works for you, if you're going for the bigger risk rewards are fine, then and you've had success with that, keep doing it. I'm not trying to change your mind. For those who still may be struggling, you may understand the counter range theory setup, but you're struggling with actually making money consistently. For the average trader, if you're willing to try something different, this is the model that I suggest. Okay, the best risk to reward model to use with CRT is 1 to 1. Now, before you click off this video, let me explain, because I used to trash 1 to 1s myself. Here's why I switched though. I used to think that 1 to 1 was a waste, because if I'm risking 50 to make 50 over and over again, I saw it as it was going to keep me just jogging in place. I wouldn't see much of a change in my account balance. Okay. But what I didn't realize is that I could already do what I was doing to a degree, which was not letting a bad trade hit my stop loss. Because the way the candle range theory is set up, you're really looking for straight over price action. And if it goes against you, or say if you take it off a fair value gap and the gap closes, that's an invalidation and you can just get out of the trade. So this method gave me the chance to either get a big win or a small loss fairly quickly over and over again. The first day I tried it, I got 167% return in one day across various trades. I could hardly believe it, because, of course, I was compounding and just constantly I was going for it. It was 1 to 1, 1 to 1, 1 to 1. But here's the thing. I'm not saying you're going to get 167% a day every day. That wouldn't even be my goal. It's not. You'd be a billionaire in no short time. Okay, I'm not talking about that. What it is a position. It's the ability to be in that position to get larger than average returns more often than not. That's what it's about. Not trying to get 100% a day. I'm not saying that at all. No. Okay. So I'm not trying to set a false expectation here. So understand that. So these are some rules to make it worth our time. Of course, number one, you always want to trade candle 3. No candle 2 and candle 1 is just a foregone conclusion. Set your risk to reward to break even once you reach half of your reward. So if you're risking 50 bucks and you're $25 in profit, set your stop loss to break even, and then just let it happen. Because even if you get stopped out, who cares? You didn't lose anything, and another trade is going to be right around the corner. Okay. Set low price targets. Okay. I wouldn't do anything above 30 pip stop loss, 30 pip take profit. But be realistic, because I'm not saying do a 5 pip take profit and a 5 pip stop loss. Okay. The spread alone will stop you out. I'm not saying that. So I say the lowest I would go is like 20 pip take profit, 20 pip stop loss. Highest I would go be 30 and 30. All right. So there you go. I'd say 20 for lower ATR pairs, like some of the Swiss pairs, like Euro Swiss, Euro Pound, stuff like that. But some of the higher ones like GJ, EJ, 30. Okay, do it like that. Now, don't let the trade get all the way to your stop loss when possible. Sometimes it's going to stop you out and there's nothing you can do about it. But other times, if you have the ability to watch it and and your trade does something unexpected, get out of it. Okay, because you're not going to lose everything that you risk if that's the case. And I also don't recommend holding these trades overnight because of the wide spreads. Now let's take a look at some possible numbers here. So let's say we have a trader who decides they want to make 100 bucks a day, okay, doing 1 to 1s, and they decide to risk 20% of his $500 account, okay, which is sizable. Okay, I'm not going to act like it isn't. Now, because he has such a 1 to 1 risk to reward ratio, his win rate should go up. Okay, all you need is a 50% win rate to at least be break even if you're trading 1 to 1. It's no different than really just flipping a coin. Okay, but he's got his win rate up to 60%. All right, so he's losing for every 10 trades he takes, he'll win 6, but he'll lose 4. Okay, and his only thing is fair value gaps. He's looking for fair value gaps in candle 3. If price is around it, he'll take it. Okay, so let's look at a possible scenario for that. So here is a possible chart of what his wins and losses would look like. You can pause to read this if you'd like. But the main thing I want you to focus on, of course, if he started with 500 bucks, is that he doesn't let his max stop loss hit. So he may lose 11%, which is like 56 bucks, okay? But he'll win all of his wins are 20%. It's fixed. The only variable here are his losses. He's staying in control of his losses. He only lost 22 bucks here. He only lost 4% here, which was 30 bucks of the account at balance at the time. 6% here, which was about 44 bucks. And then of course he had a little streak at the end here. This is a 60% win rate. So he went from 500 bucks to $1,147 in 10 trades. Okay. You can do this in a week. You really could. Okay, like I'm here to. You really could. It's possible. Not a day, okay, but a week, yes, definitely attainable. All right, but you have to remember, just because you risk X percent, be it 10%, 20%, I don't care what it is, that doesn't mean you have to lose it. I know some traders say let the trade hit your stop loss, just let it, walk away from the chart. This ain't that. You have to have time to watch the trade. So if you have a job or whatever, this may not be for you if you don't have the time. But if you do have enough time to watch it, or at least set a price alert or something like that, set the price alert to a zone where hey, look, it might not be at my stop loss, but this trade is going against me to the fact where I want to keep my loss low, like I just showed you, the 10% or so, something like that. Now, the top reasons that you want to trade a one-to-one, it's easier to achieve a profitable win rate or a higher win rate. It just is. Okay? It's You have a higher probability of hitting your targets because what's easier for a pair to go? 20 pips or 100 pips. Okay? So yeah, you can take every trade and say, okay, I want a 10 pip stop loss and a 100 pip take profit. I want to just do 1 to 10s. You could do that, but your win rate is going to be in the trash. I promise you that. Okay. Now, this also builds confidence and psychological resilience, and you're going to get it much faster because the next trade is just around the corner. You also get to compound faster and you get that quicker feedback loop. And when you're in candle three, you're going to know it. That's why I said focus on candle three, because all candle threes that are legit act the same. So go back and watch the candle three video for the behavior on that. That's why I say focus on candle three. If you master candle three behavior and then 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, I promise you can do well. Okay. And as well, this is a simpler risk management plan. So you don't have to keep trying to toy at it and add to trades, which I used to do. But this right here, from the jump, you already know, okay, look, I want to make 20% on this trade. That's what you're aiming for. And in my worst case scenario, I may lose 5%, I may lose 10%. I also may lose 20%, but I know that if I win, if price goes 20 pips, my account will grow by 20%. That's amazing. So, or 10%, whichever you wanted to do. So I'm going to do a chart example now. We're going to compare the old way, which is traditional risk to reward, and a 1-to-1 risk to reward with a 20 pip stop loss, 20 pip take profit. So this was a Euro New Zealand. This is a candle three. All right. So we see here just one basic entry right off the first fair value gap off the high of the day, which is how I trade when I see a short candle three. Okay. So this was good for about 1 to 4.5. I think I rounded to a 4 for the sake of the next example I'm going to show you. But at the end of the day, one entry, done deal, consolidated quite a bit, but then eventually dropped, it went down to the current low today there. All right. So if a trader would have taken that, if they had a $500 account, and let's say they risked 20%, they risked 100 to make $400. Okay. So the new balance is $900. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. But you have to keep in mind though, that pair for today, for Euro New Zealand, it dropped 134 pips. I'm here to tell you, that pair does not move that much every single day. It just doesn't. Okay, so this wouldn't have been a good day. There's nothing wrong with this. Now let's consider the alternative. Let's take a look at 1-to-1s. Now, what this trader does, they're a scalper. Okay, that's first and foremost. And what they've resolved to do is that, hey, look, I want to take candle three, but I want to trade off every single fair value gap I see because I'm expecting candle three to be a straight drop for most of the day. So they take the first one on a 1-to-1. Remember, this is 20 pip stop loss, 20 pip take profit. Okay, so that's one win. Next fair value gap is right here. That's 2 wins. Price retraced up into this same gap right here. They take that. This one, they were out in 5 minutes. That's another 20% right there. Price consolidated quite a bit, but it's still in this fair value gap range. They could take another one right here. That's another 20%. And then lastly, another fair value gap formed right here. They take that one on a 1-to-1. And then bang. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So when you talked about faster compounding, I hope you can see the power of this. All right. Let's take a look at his numbers. These are multiple 1-to-1 scalps at fair value gaps on candle three compounded. So they start with 500. They risk 20% per trade. And for the sake of this example, let's say they just had a 100% win rate just for this example. Okay. So all the gaps held that they took their balance from $500 to $1,200 in one day. Okay, in one day, doing 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio and compounding the profits. 1-to-1. That's powerful. Now, let's try one more example real quick, and I'll just show you. What if a person has, say, a $200 account? They're going to risk 40% of their account. Okay, and they got a 60% run rate. So this is how something like that could look. Okay. So we see here they start with $200. The first trade they may win, they got a 40% gain, which is $80. So that's good. And then they just go from there. It's up to 280. They lose 14%, win, lose. This was a big loss right here, almost 30%, but they're still in profit. Okay. Win, then they lose 15%, lose 24%, and then they win three more. Same 60% win rate. So they're winning more than they're losing. And the key with trading, as long as your winners are bigger than your losers, you will be profitable no matter what your risk to reward ratio is. Okay. But in this case, they took $200 and turned it into $579 in 10 trades. The total return was 190% basically. Okay. They made 300, almost $400. Okay. Largest drawdown, they went from 333 down to 211, okay, during a losing streak, and you will have losing streaks. But again, it's just about controlling your risk. So in conclusion, I want to give credit to Nick Sean on YouTube for putting me up on this. There's nothing I take credit for. The way he explained it, though, I said, wow, that makes more sense than what I've been hearing about one-to-ones. So this is not built for swing traders, though, I'm going to be honest. This is for scalpers and intraday traders. Now, major key with making this work, you got to get out if a trade goes against you, okay? Let's say if you enter off a gap, let's put this in perspective. Let's say you're taking this trade right here. If this gap, let's say this one candle closes above this gap right here, I'm out. I'm not letting it retrace and hit my stop loss. I'm out. Okay. Same thing right here. Once retraces in this gap and I take it, and let's say the next candle closes above the gap and then the gap disappears, I'm out. You're not going to hit my stop loss because I was wrong. Okay. This type of strategy for candle 3, you're counting on the gaps to hold. So that's how that goes. So that's just one way to do it. If you want to take another method, maybe swing high, swing low, throw an EMA up on there, that's up to you. Okay, but remember, a major key is getting out if it goes against you and set the stop loss to break even at half R. So remember, if you're risking $100 and you're in profit by 50, go ahead and set your stop loss to break even, look for the next trade, go on about your business. Okay, protect your downside. Don't risk too much so that your one loss will just blow the whole account. We're not doing that here. Okay, we don't blow accounts. Now, I'm not saying to take 5 candle 3 trades though. This was just for illustrative purposes because the Euro New Zealand had a big move. Every pair every day will not move exactly like that, but it's possible I say to get 2 to 3, okay, candle 3 trades or fair value gaps, because that's what candle 3 really does, make a lot of fair value gaps. Okay, but I'll go more over that in part 2. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So more examples of the one-to-one will be in part 2. And if you've been successful 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, like I said, keep doing what you're doing. That's fine. If you're making money, if you're profitable, you really shouldn't even be watching this video. You don't need to. But if you've had a little trouble with your money management, try 1-to-1 and try 20 pip stop loss, 20 pip take profit. Do it in demo. You don't even have to do it real money. Spend one day, open up a demo account with some broker and experiment with this and try it and see. You don't even have to put real money up to experiment. That's one thing, a great thing about trading. So, okay, you don't have to put real money behind this idea. Demo it first. Demo it for a day. Demo it for a week. Demo it for a month. Who cares? But try it. And I promise you will be surprised. All right. So stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to put up I'll put that up in the coming hours or days. But I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you so much for watching. Experiment with 1-to-1. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.